begin. Hello, welcome to the incredibly off-schedule, late fourth episode of the Logic Not podcast. This week it is just me and Kazi again, and the Mythic Championship IV, which was a modern Mythic Championship, just wrapped up. So that's sort of the big news.
It was sad. It was the first time I've found myself cheering for Tron to win an event.
Yes, that's
I'm actually kind of disappointed in myself.
Although, I have Jund in paper. I don't have any Ren in sixes, so I'm a little behind. But online, I play Infect, and let me tell you, there's nothing I love more than when my opponent needs about 3 turns to win and does not at all interact with me whatsoever. And a bunch of their creatures can't even block. So I, however, was not rooting for Tron, although Tron's still a great matchup for me. So all I know is that this was a great showing for Infect, or a great results for Infect.
Who cares, dude? Like, the problem, I think one of the big issues with the format right now, Hogak, which is to say, like, blue-eye control, be a 3-deck format if Hogak wasn't in the format. Because those decks are clearly better than everything else, and they only play against each other. Which else to be upset about? And not to say that Hogak's not a problem, it's clearly a problem. But my point is, Infect is still bad.
Infect's not great, but it's. I think it's good. I think it's good, honestly.
Honestly, it's better than it has been. Like for the past year and a half since Attacking World was banned in Modern. Yeah.
It is the best it's been since Dredge was the best deck. Wait a second. I'm sensing a pattern here.
Easy, right? It's almost as if when combo graveyard decks are good, the deck that just plays a 1-drop and kills you on turn 2 is all right.
Hey, if that's what it takes to keep graveyard decks in their place, then I'm all for it.
Well, that's the problem, right? Even when Infect was even in the Infect Dredge meta of 2016, 2017, when Dredge was oppressive and Infect was also arguably oppressive, you have to make it to where people didn't want to play Dredge. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah.
It's just because it's so Infect's just so bad against everything else. It's just painfully bad against everything else. So it's never. I don't think it'll ever be one of those decks that's I guess forces the meta around it, just because Jund will always be pretty good against it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, looking through the 21 to 27 point decks in Modern, I've been out of maybe 20, maybe 19, 18 decks were Hogak decks, and I was that. I honestly thought that the Bridge from Below ban would. That this is what we would see from it. I thought that it was still going to be somehow combo deck based around Phyrexian Altar, but I haven't tried to solve it. I haven't been playing enough Modern lately, but absolutely degenerate. And I didn't think that Hogak was the problem card with it, but I think right now it's very clear that Hogak just enables too many degenerate things to happen for this deck to be allowable. It's absolutely insane.
It's a little unfair because it's I don't think Hogak's really the problem. Hogak is it's slow, it's not very, it's big, but I think it's just in the realm of okay. You can't cast it like you can Gurmag or
Hogak is probably creature in the deck, but I think it's very much the straw that broke the camel's back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. I don't think
the card when you. I don't think the argument should be to ban Hogak. I think we should ban one of the other cards in the deck. Obviously, I'm pulling for the same cards I've always pulled for, which are whatchamacallit. 2-1 comes back a lot. And
wait, the landfall one? The Bloodghast?
Yeah, the one that's been around ever since it got printed, and it's absolutely degenerate.
I don't know. Bloodghast seems fine.
seems like a perfectly fair card. I think you could also ban Stitcher Supplier, and it would make the deck a lot worse because it'd take away from that 1-drop slot, and that card is a huge enabler for the deck. But I think we're getting ahead of ourselves talking about bans and stuff like that. I think we should really just address the Mythic Championship in general.
No,
We gotta start at the top, which is Hogak, and I think we can both agree that deck is pretty oppressive. I personally think that they should have been playing 4 ley lines in the main, but they're playing 2 because, lame, I guess. I don't know. Like, this deck is clearly a problem.
Wait, 2 what in the main?
Ley line of the void.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I think there's something to be said about just like every deck playing 4, including Hogak, just playing 4 ley lines so they could play it against their opponent. Hogak.
It's so crazy that, honestly, Hogak wouldn't be playing the ley lines if Hogak wasn't so good. Like, if Hogak isn't worried about any other deck in the format except Hogak, so it's just like, we'll slot 2 and cut like an Insolent Neonate and Assassin's Trophy or whatever, and we'll just play 2 ley lines in the main, and we'll hope to get them sometimes. But, Jesus Christ, it's such a problem when you have to play, like, how many Graveyard Hate cards are we playing now? Like, 6 to 8?
Yeah, if you play like the surgicals and stuff, main or even in the side.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many Phoenix is on because I haven't like taken a super detailed list at the tournament results, but I have to assume that Phoenix is on like surgical extractions. The list I have here says 2. Honestly, I'd be closer to 3 or 4 right now, but
yeah, I mean, if I were Phoenix and like a Hogak, like I would be playing it for sure.
At the Mythic Championship, at such a concentrated meta where half the people there bring Hogak, understand why you
it gets even better.
Plus, only run 2 surgicals. Yeah.
Um,
and against other matchups, right? Like you actively want it against the Phoenix Mirror. It's like at least okay against Blue-White Control. It's dead against Tron, and it's Dredge. Not Dredge. Sorry, Jund. I actually don't have a huge issue with it against Jund because you can like fix card advantage, but still.
I mean, I think it's fine against just about every deck that puts stuff in the graveyard. As you said, I think Tron it's the worst in Tron. Because Tron's one of those decks where like it doesn't really put anything in the graveyard until it wins.
I don't care. Phoenix, like, are you playing against Tron? Like, do you care? Like, you're just playing it as a free spell at that point, right? And
which isn't bad. Which, like, honestly, it's not that bad in that deck because that deck sometimes it just needs that 1 extra free spell.
And that's the reason why I think Phoenix should be playing more is because Phoenix doesn't actually care about the effect of most other decks, but like.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it's such a good option, especially as Hogak gets better. You're just like, all right, maybe even more of this.
So let's move on because we talked about Phoenix way too much because that deck was basically even at the Mythic Championship. Like it converted what it was supposed to. It made day 2 how it was supposed to.
Yeah, but I wonder if that's a fault of Hogak. Like I wonder, like Hogak's everywhere. Graveyard hate is up. Like that hurts Phoenix, even though people aren't playing it for Phoenix. Like I don't think people weren't playing 4 ley lines to fight Phoenix. But like because there's 4 ley lines in these main decks, Phoenix does worse. It's one of those like it sucks, but like it's one of those like all tribal decks suffer because humans is so good type of thing.
Yeah, and I definitely think that's reasonable, but I also think that even if Hogak wasn't there, Arclight Phoenix probably wouldn't have dominated this tournament. It probably would have played better, but I don't think it would have been.
I mean, I don't think it would have been Hogak if Hogak wasn't there.
Yeah, exactly. Like if Hogak wasn't there, this isn't the new Hogak. This 3/2 flying haste.
Yeah, but
not this combo deck that
without Hogak, this tournament would have been like as balanced as it was the last like major event. And everyone's like, "Oh, Modern's so healthy and great, it's great." But like, all it takes is this little unbalance, and then, people are upset.
Arclight Phoenix, even though it can play on an unfair axis, it was really good in Modern recently because Modern was relatively fair for what Modern usually is, and it was doing really well there. But I don't have a problem with Phoenix.
I think Phoenix is fine. I get frustrated with it, but like I can beat it. It's not like oppressive or like incredibly frustrating. Like it's a totally fine deck.
It feels like there was nothing you could do against the deck, and I think that's one of the big draws to it, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's probably okay. But let's move on. Let's move on. I said before we are talking about Phoenix too much. Let's
Back to
Ron
Hogak.
Menace. Yeah. Back to Hogak. Yeah. I think we all agree on Hogak. I think. I think we all know it needs to go.
I feel like Tron is good because like Hogak gets that giant guy out on turn 3, and if they're on the play, then Tron's turn 3 is Karn, kill it, or if they play Karn, Hogak can't attack, and you just next turn kill it. And so it's one of those things.
So
where, like,
I think.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I will go ahead. So I actually think the reason Tron is good against Hogak is a little bit different. I think the green Tron decks are really good against Hogak because the green Tron decks get to play a Relic of Progenitus in the main, or like as little as 2 in the main, but it's very, very good against Hogak, and they're the only deck that doesn't get hit you actually activating it yourself. And I think the Eldrazi Tron variant, which I don't think we're going to be talking about enough, because I actually think that deck is really good against Hogak, plays Chalice. And Chalice on 1 actually makes that deck look like garbage.
Yeah, I mean, it is really like a 1 CMC based deck when you think about it. Mm-hmm. So having Chalice on 1 is just oppressive.
Yeah, I mean, I whatchamacallit, I was watching like some random channel fireballer play Hogak, and then he ran into a Chalice on 1, and I want to say it was Nassif, but I'm not 100% sure. Ran into a Chalice on 1 and just couldn't play the game.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
the deck does that.
I feel like Modern's sort of falling to that, for better or for worse. Like there's so many 1-drops, which
I'm okay with Chalice being good in the format, but I don't want it to feel like Vintage, where like if you open on Chalice, you just win, and if you don't open on Chalice, you probably lose. Like how Vintage felt before Chalice was restricted. I think that Chalice is okay normally. I think that it's really, really good, but it's specifically good against Hogak, so I'm kind of okay with it.
Plus, I think most other decks, like I guess Jund is another big deck, like isn't that beat up about the Chalice on 1.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. If you're playing Jund and you're playing against Chalice, first of all, you have ways to kill it, right? Second, like your one mana spells after turn 2 don't really matter against Eldrazi Tron, like.
No, yeah, like that. Yeah,
and then your bolts and your pushes don't really matter anyways, and then like.
And honestly, you just
combo deck.
They just become discard fodder. It's not that bad.
But I think Eldrazi Tron is actually a little bit stronger than some people are giving it credit for, and I actually would. Ooh, I hate to say this about a Tron deck, but I actually would like to see people play a little bit more of it if Hogak sticks around.
I just hate it. I'd rather Hogak be oppressive because honestly, like I don't think it's that.
Well, I think that's when I say I want to see it more, I don't mean I want to play against it more. I mean, I think that is a good way to deal with Hogak if Hogak has to be around for some reason. If you want to beat Hogak, play more Chalices.
It sucks, but yeah, I mean that's sort of the way to do it. But yeah, besides that, we can move to my favorite deck, Jund.
Jund is good. Moving on. No, I mean Jund is playing fair. I think that Jund is the only deck in the meta that has the flexibility to adjust to any meta right now, especially with the advent of Ren giving it even more of a late game engine, and therefore being able to
as I had thought it was so good. Just gonna.
So we haven't made a podcast episode since my hot takes on Ren when it first came out, but I actually thought that card was hot trash. And then I saw it playing it with Ghost Quarters. I was immedially sold. This is the best card in Modern.
I don't even think the Ghost Quarters is what makes it like so great. Like I don't
either.
That alt, like honestly, like that alt is actually really.
It's the fact that
really
the ultimate is actually solid, good enough to where you don't want the card on the battlefield, and also for me the big thing is just like if you build your mana base in a way that can abuse the utility of the plus.
It's really just 3 relevant, easily 3 relevant abilities, and like honestly, like finding 3 relevant abilities is hard to find. Like the ping for 1 is a little weird, but like it, obviously it hits a surprising number of creatures.
There are a surprising amount of 4 toughness creatures in the format that I've seen kill this red because you just go red.
Like that's the great part. Like it really like it's actually helpful.
It really is, and like I don't know. I think it's like the best low CMC planeswalker we've had since Deathright Shaman, probably.
And it doesn't even have to hit a creature. Like you can bolt their Lily and then
you can gut shot them. You can kill them off the top.
I mean, yeah, that's and you kill opponent bot. Like it's great. It's a good it's 3 good abilities, and the alt is like a actual legitimate threat, because if you can like retrace your Kolaghan's commands, like that is just painful. Or honestly, oh my god, it's just so good.
Honestly, playing Jund, I've always wanted a 5th lightning bolt, and if I draw 3 Rens, I get there.
You get one extra lightning bolt for 6 mana. Let me tell you, you can just play a lightning strike and it's easier.
I know.
Same amount of mana and faster to get there. You only need 1 card.
So you heard it here first, guys. Lightning strike in Modern. Eli Rosenthal.
Well, you play what do you call it? You play 16 bolt by playing Goblin Electromancer and Lightning Strike.
I mean, listen, guys, we've been playing Rift Bolt for a while now. Shouldn't we just upgrade, like...
Oh, and Searing Spear? Oh, wow. There's so many lightning bolts in there.
All right. Let's move on to what I think is going to be one of the last decks we really talk about, because the rest of the decks, while they're still good, don't get me wrong, I don't think we're going to spend too much time on them. Blue White Control coming back and actually being good in a format with Hogak.
Well, so I guess it's a little weird because, I mean, it was Jeskai forever ago, and then we got this blue-white control that was like, it was this Jace the Mind Sculptor, what's that white card that puts everything to the bottom?
Which one? So yeah, the Terminus list.
Terminus, yeah, it was like the Terminus lists, and like that was everywhere, and then
control, yeah.
And then now it's like actual control. It's not like a gimmick, no offense to.
And it's weird because it doesn't look good enough. Like straight up, it just doesn't look like it can compete with Hogak. I mean, yeah. 4th Path to Exile, those 2 surgical extractions just in case, and the Force of Negations, just enough to get there, I guess.
I think Force of Negation, it's so powerful to be like, yeah, tap out, turn 3 Teferi, which is on a busted card. Turn like 3 mana Teferi is busted. You play 3 mana Teferi, they, I'm going to kill that, sure. Force of Negation, like, you are ahead. Like, you already ahead.
Who would have guessed printing 2 good 3 mana control-based Planeswalker in one set would be any good at all?
Like, the Narset is like, sure, you can only use it twice, but like, that Narset is so powerful against like decks that actually draw cards. Like, even if you just play it against Phoenix, like that hurts. You don't even mind to see. You just let it sit there. I mean,
for me, the hot take is that Narset is actually the best Planeswalker in the deck. Teferi Time Ravel is great. Don't get me wrong. I think Narset is absolutely busted.
Narset is absolutely busted.
Like the way that Control, and I know that there's a lot of ways Control has lost over the years, but one of the ways that Control had been losing to like control decks and stuff like that recently was that the creature decks or the creature control decks, like the mid-range decks like Jund and stuff, even though they weren't super popular because clearly there were like a lot of degenerate things happening over the past year, but one of the reasons why it had issues is because like decks could just draw out against it. And if you just play Narset,
it's so powerful,
strong, and it's really cool to see these lists making the top 8. Main deck, Rest in Peace, which I was a fan of towards the beginning of the Hogak era in Modern, and I just think these decks are pretty good. They're only playing 2 surgical extractions. That's the only real straight up concession I see to Hogak. I think this deck is really solid. Yeah.
I'm a little upset
that I don't have much else to say about this one.
I'm just a little upset that I sold out of Control for Jund, and then this comes up, which is just so fun.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your style. I've always enjoyed playing more flexible versions of Control that give up a lot of consistency, aka Grixis Control.
Yeah, no, I'm all about consistency.
I don't care about consistency. I just want to go hard. I think this deck is pretty good. I'm not sure if I would pick it up for your local meta because I've always had a lot of problem dealing with a variety of things at once, which is why I think they are good for smaller tournaments, for instance, a Mythic Championship, and not as good at like GPs and stuff like that. Even though you'll see an Otto get into the top 8 or whatever, I think that you have to run pretty hot over a larger tournament.
It's also, I mean, I think it's tough to play control in general in a huge tournament because like you have to be on point for like 10 hours.
Oh my God, yeah. the actual struggle of playing 10 hours of Magic.
Yeah, like it is.
Next player is playing like maybe 2 hours over the course of the day.
When I switched for the first time, when I switched to Jund, even like I had so much extra free time. It was honestly wonderful. Like it was game.
Did you actually like get a lunch break? Like
yeah, I haven't had a lunch break in a grand food. I was like, I thought you weren't allowed to eat food. I remember like, I was like, oh, like I get like a lunch break now. And then, it's like, oh, but it's like, you don't actually get a lunch break. I just, I have a lot of extra time, so like, see ya.
Yeah. I loved it when people would come by my seat, like my friends would come by my seat with food in their hands, and I'm just like, game 2, like.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm about to out of time. How's that food?
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to some of the not as successful, but still probably pretty good. Don't get me wrong. Like these decks are still probably fine. I actually think a couple of these decks are probably better for Grand Prix and stuff like that. And I think the top of that list of decks that didn't do well at this event, but would probably do well at a reasonable Grand Prix, is Humans.
I don't know what happened. I mean, I guess it's just one of those things where maybe people are just like used to it and they get better against it, or like another deck pops up, but like Humans didn't really get worse. They just
I think decks like Humans that are trying to answer a lot of things with like decks that usually try to have answers, I think there's been Humans is so ready for so many, not so ready. Humans is so good against so many decks, but it is not excellent against most decks. Really is a disservice when you bring it to a tournament like this one. Unless you're mainboarding hate for the quote unquote villain. It's like something you want to bring to a Mythic Championship with only like 32 people, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think this is a great deck to bring to a Grand Prix because there are going to be so many decks you play against where they see Meddling Mage or they see Thalia or they see flipping Reflector Mage and they just die immediately, right?
Like it's so weird that you get this like just random free win. Like it's you're like an aggro deck, so like you get the free wins if you like go up against some random controlled, like you're aggro, you get those free aggro wins.
Mm-hmm.
But like one step beyond that is Meddling Mage is busted. Mm-hmm. And like sometimes the draws are just busted, and you're like, all right, I swing in for 20 on turn 3.
The two things that go against it in a small tournament is a more concentrated field, which means you need to have more hate in your main deck, which is hard for Humans because it just plays a bunch of dudes, right? And I think the second thing is that when you look at a lot of the top decks in this format in particular, like you look at the Hogak, you look at the blue-white control, and you look at the the Phoenix deck, I think those decks are all pretty solid against Humans. Like I don't think Humans loses those by a lot, but I think it loses those.
No, and it's super nice when like it's super nice when you have all these big guys, but it's like sure, but I have like Thing in the Ice is just so I love Thing in the Ice. That's a busted card.
God, when you flip the Thing in the Ice, or when you gut shot that Thalia for 1 mana.
I'm so upset that I got rid of mine because I always knew that's a busted card. Like just waiting for like mono blue to become a thing, and I was like, I don't need it. But now they're like mono. I will say it now. Mono blue will become a thing in Modern. Eventually.
Oh my God!
Like it's only a matter of time before like it just gets that last piece it needs. Like Force of Negation brought it a little bit closer. And what's that Archmage's Charm? I love that card. I really want it.
I really wish I had seen a Blue Moon deck at this tournament, but Blue Moon is literally 0% against Hogak. Like, like that deck can't do anything.
But yeah, it is. I just know it. It's coming.
I mean, let's talk about the 2 new additions to the Human deck. So the Human deck used to be playing like 3 Path, and the list I'm looking at here on my screen looks like it's replaced 2 of the Path with 2 Force of Virtue, which I think is pretty cool.
Like I will guess it's sort of weird because it's like I feel like it's the only Force card that is just like free to play whenever you want. All the other ones are sort of, I guess, reactionary, but like that's the only one where you're like, it's like their turn first. I'll just
whoa. you can play the red force whenever you want,
Red,
and it'll always do the same thing.
Nothing. But yeah, so like
good at any point in the game, Eli. Come on.
I think the bigger thing is the Sun-Baked Canyon. Like it now humans has 7+.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
I
7+,
honestly,
yeah.
fan of the Sun-Baked Canyon. I thought they were gonna play the blue-white one first, but there's no blue-white one, right?
No, not hopefully
Yeah,
not yet,
maybe.
but.
All right, maybe that's why. Okay, so they're playing Sun-Baked Canyon because there's a new blue-white one. Sorry, guys, I'm mistake. Super up on modern.
I mean, they could do the blue-green one, but I think they want the white.
No, I think the blue-green one's a little bit too narrow. Like they play one green card. Like
yeah, but I mean they play green-white, but I think it's
so
white.
I think the point is to get the white in there,
Yeah.
right? Like I think they play more blue-white cards than they do red-white cards, but I think that they play.
I'm surprised they're not playing
White card.
that blue-white card, the blue-white Modern Horizons card that like turns. That's
Oh, the one that has a ton of text but doesn't actually do anything.
No,
that some people thought were going to be good for some reason.
It's the Kira one that turns everything into a Kira.
The changeling, right?
What?
Is it a changeling?
Yeah, the Changeling. I like that card. I think the card is good. Well, it's good. It's not. I guess it's not good for humans right now because it's not like humans' problem is removal. Humans' problem is losing before humans can win.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So like I'm sure it'll become more important if like Control and Jund go up.
I mean, for me, the real reason why I thought that card was not very good is that on first glance I saw so much text, and I was like, oh, that looks hot. And then I read the card, and I was like, that's a lot of stuff it does. And then I read the card again, and I was like, none of this actually does anything. That's unfortunate.
It's not
At some
bad.
point, I don't think it's right now.
It's not. Yeah, it's not good right now.
I don't think it does what humans wants to do right now.
But yeah, I mean, so humans. Everybody already knows humans.
That's why I don't want to spend too much.
I actually want to
time
go
on
back to Jund real quick and talk about the Baron Moor that they're playing.
Sure, the Psychic Land, right?
And yeah, they're playing Baron Moor, and this one that I'm looking at is playing
Great.
Tranquil Thicket as well.
Card is great, Eli. I told you we had to play the full package the other day, man. You got to play the two. You got to play one or two Baron Moor, then you can play one or two of the Horizon Land, and then you got to play some Ghost Quarters.
I think that's
Not in this tournament.
it's too much. It really like both the cycling lands and the because it's really hard to get those cycling lands. Like you can't fetch them. And I don't know. I guess it's not worse than the Nurturing Peat land. Because at the end of the day, you're spending 1 mana to draw a card. The question is do you have to play a land for turn?
The thing is, you can actually play a land if you have the Baron Moor in your graveyard, which is the reason why I like it, of course.
It also
I think that's good.
but I guess the Nurturing Peat land is good because you can play it turn 1 and use it if you need to.
Sure, but I feel like it's so rare on Jund where you open up because Jund is a 24 lane deck in a modern format that's full of 20 lane decks, right? I think Jund is one of very few modern decks where you don't look at a one laner and keep it more than like 30% of the time. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, like you can't keep a one. I don't think you ever keep a one lander.
You can't keep a one laner in Jund, right? Like, and so it's super rare that you just like
two is the honestly.
Jund is not Phoenix. Jund is not Hogak. Jund is not humans. You can't just do that.
But ain't nothing wrong with that. Jund is great.
I mean, I think those are the main points, at least when it comes to deck lists for the Mythic Championship.
No. That's not. There's one more, and that's
God.
I think it's according to where is it? It was the a 55% win rate. With 19 people playing it, the most important deck of the Mythic Championship, Urzathopter Sword.
What? 19? There wasn't it like
people, 55% win rate.
Grand Prix, or are you looking at the Mythic Championship?
I'm looking at the Mythic Championship. Hogak had a 60% win rate. Urzathopter Sword was second. Wait, hold on. Oh, there's two Hogak decks. One was 60%, one was 56%, and then there's a Thopter Sword was 55%.
There are a billion Hogak decks.
Well,
I think you might be looking at the wrong.
there was 116 altogether, but there was like 2 different versions, is what they split it up as.
Oh, sure, whatever.
But
I mean,
Urza Thopter Sword had the second best win rate, counting
It would.
Hogak as 1.
is between the Hogak decks. Were there?
What? What'd you say?
Were there differences between the Hogak decks?
I guess so. Or according to Wizards of the Coast, there was.
Okay, well, I mean,
But Urza Thopter Sword is legit. Have you seen the deck?
I just want to say, I keep referring to this as like a 32-person tournament because of the first Mythic Championship, but it's probably close to like 300, 400 people, right?
I believe it is closer to like 200, maybe 300.
It's still a very small, concentrated tournament compared to like your average Grand Prix, where people will bring whatever they want, whereas when people go to this, usually,
But this,
yeah,
this
and I mean,
deck,
keep saying 32-person tournament.
this deck is crazy. This deck, honestly, I love this deck.
But yeah, I mean, I think the deck's fine. Don't get me wrong. I think it's very clear that Hogak is the better deck, in my opinion. But the sword deck actually suffers a lot of the fair decks, and I think it does pretty well against Hogak. So I actually think Urza Sword is going to be hurt if and when Hogak has something done about it. Worse, because like when you're playing the Thopter Sword deck, I don't think you want to play against Jund. I don't think you want to play against Phoenix. I don't think you want to play against Eldrazi Tron, and I don't think you want to play against.
Well, I don't know. Urza is an X4, so like Jund is one thing, but Phoenix might have a tough time against Urza.
Like what? I tap out to play Urza on turn 4, and then they what? Like they played Arya Flame on turn 3, and then just combo off and murder my face.
Yeah, but I mean, you can play like Ensnaring Bridge, or there's that Hexproof one that you can fetch for.
Reason to play that deck is Witchbane Orb, but I don't think that deck is consistent enough about getting Witchbane Orb to make it worth it.
I think. I mean, unless you count Arclight Phoenix as a combo deck, I mean, I guess it's like aggro combo.
I think it depends which deck you're playing against. I think when you're playing Arclight Phoenix against an Arya Flame Arclight Phoenix combo deck, and then against other decks it's like a tempo deck, and then against most decks it's just a mid-range deck.
Arya Flame is crazy.
Arya Flame is nuts. We should have talked about that more, but it's too late. Let's talk about Urza Sword. I mean, this deck is cool.
It's legit. I think it's a legit combo deck. I think it'll be around for a while. Especially with like stuff like Teferi to sort of it's really bad. What is it? It's got nothing for turn 3, and so having Teferi is really helpful because it gets rid of stuff. Your combo can't be interrupted without killing Teferi. It's really good for that. But as you said, like it is a little fragile. It's not really good at getting rid of like hate if you have hate against it. But I mean, it's fun.
This is one of those what I refer to as like a high-end combo deck, where it's one of those combo decks that's more resilient than other combo decks can be. So like, whereas you have Storm on like the low end, where it's just all in trying to murder you, the high-end combo decks are things like Amulet or even Dredge, right? Where they're trying to like grind you out a little bit and then maybe combo you to see if they can win. I just feel like it's weird because this is the first combo deck I've seen have success that really attacks on like 7 different axes this side of Dredge. Hey, the Dredge hit never stops, Eli.
I mean, yeah.
And it attacks you from so many different places because it is pretty grindy as a combo deck. It's only playing 3 War of Invention. It's playing 2 flipping Teferis. It's playing like 3 Goblin Engineers. And it's just trying to do the thing, but not immediately. It's not like it's playing a control deck, but like it's not. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure if there's a place for a deck like that if Hogak's not around.
Speaking of which, just real quick back to Hogak. This one Hogak deck is playing 2 Rotting Regisaur in the background in the sideboard.
Oh yeah, I saw that list. That's Martin Mueller's, right?
Yes. I love that card. I cannot believe that somebody's actually playing it. I mean, 7/6 for 3. And as people said, in Modern, that's not really a drawback. Discarding your hand or discarding a card is not really a drawback. So I'm glad it's found a home.
was asking me about that like maybe a week and a half ago, and I told them not to play it. But the reason I told them not to play it was because they wanted it in the main deck, and I didn't think it was going to do anything there because it wasn't on plan. I didn't think about putting it in the sideboard, but it seems pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good like. Oh, I just need something massive.
I need to dodge this ley line.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll play this 3-mana 7/6 that maybe clobbers my opponent.
But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I think while Hogak is there, Thopter Sword will be a little bit worse. I think actually Thopter Sword will get better without a Hogak for the same reasons I mentioned forever ago, which is people are playing main. You want more main board hate, graveyard hate. Once Hogak's gone, they won't be doing that anymore, and Thopter Sword can thrive.
Opposite end, where I actually think the reason why this deck isn't very good is interaction. Always been one of the issues for me with the high-end combo decks like Amulet, like stuff like that, whereas traditional combo decks bypass interaction by just going so fast you can't do anything about it. This deck actually does get Thought Seized, it does get Assassin's Trophy, it does get, like, it can even get Fatal Pushed, like, it's not...
So. But, I mean, people don't play a lot of Fatal Pushes. Like, people aren't playing 4 Fatal Pushes like they used to. People are playing, like, 2.
Sure, but like, this deck also gets bolted, you know what I mean? Like, this deck is not as good as doing the thing as a lot of other combo decks. In exchange, it is better at dealing with other combo decks, but when it comes to like mid-range decks, I think it suffers.
Yeah, but I mean, mid-range isn't that good right now.
I think the reason why mid-range isn't super good, except for maybe Jund, is because of decks like Hogak, which are graveyard decks.
Mid-range hasn't been good for so long. Like, honestly, it's been a long time.
I hear you, but like that's because the combo decks have been like so ridiculous.
Yeah, but like, I mean, what you're saying? Like, if Hogak disappears, mid range is back up and running. Like, not really.
I think if Hogak goes, I don't think that all mid range decks are good. Don't get me wrong, but I think Judd specifically with the Ren and 6 update and the ability to play utility wave package, possibly, not necessarily, but possibly, makes it good enough to where it can actually deal with combo decks, right? Because like the big issue that Judd was having, or one of the issues Judd was having with combo decks is that it would stop their combo and then just sit there and reload. I think that a card like Red actually like just gives you a lot of velocity with its card advantage, which is weird to say, but
I wonder if you could get another good red-green deck. What was it?
Ponza, the GOAT?
Yeah, Ponza was like the last good red-green deck, but I don't know. I guess maybe you can't. Like, red-green sort of sucks.
Calling Ponza good feels so weird.
I mean, it was good. It was everywhere.
Once.
But yeah, I don't think Jund. I mean, it would be. I don't know. It's just there's got to be a lot of like good value cards for Jund to be the #1 deck again.
I feel like
can't see it happen.
I'm the Ryan Hollins of the Magic community. Just a bad player with a lot of bad opinions, but I'm really loud, so sometimes it works.
You are. That's for sure. You are a bad player. I agree.
Yeah. Well, what's that make you? Just worse? Like.
I have more day 2s, so not worse, but that's okay.
I feel like I'd wear a T-shirt you'd wear a T-shirt with an arrow pointing right that says I'm with bad player, and I'd wear one pointing left that says I'm with worse.
We should do that at the next GP. That'd be so good. Oh, so Hardened Scales also made it to top 8.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I forgot that that deck existed. Like I thought the days of Affinity were over. I mean, I guess normal Affinity's dead. Hardened Scales is where it's at, but I mean, I even thought Hardened Scales was dead.
I think that the Go By You decks are pretty good against Hogak. So, and I'm not sure because I haven't been able to look over like the entire matchup spread or whatever. But I think that what might have happened is that the Hardened Scales guy played against a lot of Hogak, and he just
was like ready. He was like, "I'm gonna demolish." I mean, he had 4 Grafdigger cages.
Smashed his face into it. Like
he had 4 Grafdigger cages.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying the matchup's like super easy, but like
wait, why?
that quote unquote is probably going to beat the Hogak deck, right?
Why isn't Humans playing that deck that people said was going to host Tron?
Tron?
If Tron Hogak, and Phoenix are the best 3 decks. Lavina or whatever is honestly
Vinya.
might be one of the best cards in the format. It
What was that
literally
card? What was that card taken?
it says it basically says
One spell.
your opponent cannot cast spells with mana cost greater than the number of lands they have.
I mean, Phoenix doesn't care about that.
I know, like, it's not great against Phoenix. You can also just kill it. But, like, maybe it's sort of... Oh, I guess... No, it doesn't cast it. It just enters the battlefield, right?
What does?
Phoenix does.
Phoenix, yeah, it just comes back.
Alright, so then never mind. Not Phoenix, but it hoses Tron. It hoses Hogak. Like, that should be a good card.
It hoses Hogak, but it's also a 2-mana 2/2 against any of your matches.
Yeah, but it's a human. Like, they don't really care that it's a 2-mana 2/2.
I actually think people over exaggerate. This has to play quote unquote random humans way more than it actually can. I actually don't think humans is just
You don't think they have the
squad
space?
and whatever human. Yeah, I actually think the deck is pretty tight. Because, like, let's be real. What's the first cut? The first cut is what? Reflector Mage? Maybe Militia Bugler?
Yeah, Militia Bugler, I'd say.
Yeah, like, and these cards are insane.
Oh no! Wait! Lavina says whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. They can't even cast Hogak.
Yeah, they can. They can cast Hogak.
No, you can't cast it.
It just gets countered.
No, well, sure, fine. You can
Yeah, big props, baby. You gotta cast
it helps against Eldatron.
Definitely. It's obviously good against the Tron variants. I don't think the Tron variants is what we should be worrying about. I think it does stop Hogak to an extent. Yeah, I mean, it might be good enough, honestly. Like, I wouldn't be...
It weirdly helps against Hardened Scales because they have Mox Opal.
Yeah,
it definitely helps against Eldrazi Tron. It probably helps against Urza Thopter. Doesn't help against Jund. Helps against Hogak.
It shuts down.
Phoenix. Helps against Tron. And yeah, so 3 out of 8 of the decks it doesn't do anything against, but 5 out of the top 8 decks it does something.
Setting down Word of Invention is absolutely insane against that deck. But like, you're also just playing Meddling Mage, right? Like,
I wonder if it's like, I don't know. I wonder if there's a way to like make that card more busted, like destroy lands and give them like birds or something. I don't know if that does anything. It's
just by playing instants and sorceries in my human tribal deck with Ancient Ziggurat and Cabinet Souls. I like it.
Let's see. Are there any other crazy decks? I'm upset that what's that stupid dinosaur deck? That combo deck didn't show up.
Rider?
What? Yeah,
Our Source Rider?
Yeah. I'm sad that that just disappeared.
Let's be real. That deck is super cool, and I think it is playable on Magic.
Is it Neo Brand? Is that it?
Neo Brand, Allosaurus Rider combo, whatever.
So 5 people played it. They had a win rate of 42. It was the worst deck at the Mythic. No, it was the second worst deck. Cheerios had 35%. Oh, and Boggles had 40. So it's the third worst deck.
I think that there's a huge issue with playing a deck like that at a tournament. You don't want to bring that deck to a tournament that is more than 5 rounds because your variants will just catch up with you.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you won't get so lucky. Other people have like that. Like I play. What is it? I play Infect, and if I have the the spell pierce in my hand, it's just like win. They can see it. It's great.
Easier at a Pro Tour compared to a Grand Prix, where you don't need as good a record to make day 2. Mythic Championship, where you don't need as good a record to make day 2, but like it's probably make a top 8 with that kind of deck.
But yeah, so Hogak.
Was there any Druid combo?
No.
That sucks. I want that deck to be good so I can play my Grixis control deck.
So for now,
I only choose the deck to be good so I can play more Grixis.
For now, Hogak has a stranglehold on the format.
I think that is absolutely fair to say. That deck, I don't know how that deck somehow looks more oppressive post-ban. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. And maybe it's because, again, it's a pro tour, so people are more inclined to choose the best deck rather than more fun but less competitive, perhaps.
Yeah.
Deck looks disgusting.
I'd like to see a that Selesnya like land control deck that used to be floating around. I would like to see that splash red for Ren and 6.
I don't remember that deck at all. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It played Azusa and Ghost Quarter, and then the creature that can play cards from the graveyard. And so you just Ghost Quarter them, play it from the graveyard, Ghost Quarter, play it from the graveyard, Ghost Quarter them.
Deck.
I really like that deck, and I think maybe Ren and 6 would help it marginally. Maybe not,
I don't know.
I don't know.
When I say I don't know, I'm not actually doubting you. I'm saying I legitimately do not know. I have not seen that deck in so long.
Yeah, it's been a while. But those were the top decks of the Mythic Championship. As I said, Hogak has a stranglehold. Hopefully, Tron can overcome it, and Tron will be the best deck in the format, as everybody has always wanted.
Control didn't drop a game at the Mythic Championship. Just saying.
Blue-white control.
Grixis Control.
Oh, okay. Grixis sucks. Anyways, I think that's it for this podcast.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
The idea is to get back on a steady pace, which we will. Things have come up here and there, but things will get a little more steady. At least we will be from now on at least a bi-weekly podcast.
Yeah, in what 4 weeks we're bringing you an episode from Vegas, right, Eli?
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. Caught up playing degenerate gambling because I'm 21 and.
Oh, that's a good point. Oh god, that's bad. I'll be putting some money on football teams, but
Jesus Christ, Eli.
the only gambling I'll be doing is opening packs and then crying because I should have just bought the cards I wanted, as I usually do.
Exactly. I mean, it should be a lot of fun. I would love to do an episode in Vegas and get it out to the people, but that sounds like a great.
All right, so
0 podcast listeners.
Yeah. All right. See you next time.
Peace.